Hey, you want to hear a fun fact?
Sure.
Gemma's birthday tomorrow, 7 o'clock, 7 years old, seven
That's
o'clock,
so cool.
7 years old. Time sure flies, that's for sure.
Yeah. My mom was saying how she got some letters from Gemma and Alice.
Yeah, that I mailed, but don't tell her that. It's fine.
No, so
That
she
was me.
she was trying to figure out who Alice is.
I know.
And
She,
so then but that's her brain, right? She's actually
oh, it's
her,
fine.
yeah,
You know
but
what?
she was,
I didn't tell Nicole I sent them. So,
well,
because
you
she,
sent them, not Nicole?
right. Because they were here. I know, which is so if you want to tell her that, go for it. But I'm not doing that for brownie points, but just so she knows I'm interacting. I think she might like that. But the
Yeah.
girls were at my house and I have these cards that I have a bunch of. So Gemma wanted to do one, then Alice got involved, and then they did two each, I think. And
Yeah.
then oh my gosh, they sat around and sat around. So I put them in an envelope, I mailed them. And then all of a sudden, Nicole messages me and she's like, got a message from grandma about these cards. And I laughed. And then I said, well, you know, she does like when you have that many grandchildren, I'll always throw her a bone on this. When you
Yeah.
have that many grandchildren, you're not going to be on top of it all the time. And Alice was very specific, calling her grandma. So she
Yeah.
would have figured it out. But yeah, so I'm glad she was very happy and nothing personal, but we know you can't keep a secret.
I can.
Well,
I had
anyways,
are we live now?
we are. Oh, by the way, hello everyone. Alan is
Hello,
with us.
everybody.
Alan, that's the next one, right? She's got see no evil, hear no evil. I'm doing that for her. But anyway, yeah, so then that yeah, so I knew now she knew and that don't let her feel any pressure that she needs to whatever without like I get
Yeah.
it. It's fine. But and Alice actually knows that Gemma gets little cards, but she also knows its relationship. Like Alice comes to, on the weekend, whatever. So Alice was really cool about it and stand by. If they do more pictures, I have no issue mailing them off. I knew and our mom and I have talked about it. Even though, we have that little blip in our relationship, I have always made sure she's Grandma Rachel to my kids and now great grandma. So I will encourage that till I drop dead. So I was very happy to do that. Very good, Alan. You follow instructions well. Is that what your report card said when you were a child? Because I suspect it said you talk a lot, but we'll go with it.
Yeah. So welcome to um,
Welcome.
the prequel to prequel is really Michelle and I catching up. Michelle said early before we went on that we hadn't talked all week, which we normally kind of connect. I did message you about what we're talking about to remind me
You
because I'm
did.
old,
Yeah,
but
yeah, yeah.
we have a little bit of a connection. But yeah, it's one of those weeks, and we I just had a crazy week. I was telling Michelle because most people I think have been let know I feel good,
Good.
but my
Absolutely.
body is needing some stuff, right? Just stuff going on. So I told
Sure.
Michelle I saw a surgeon today. He thinks we don't need to do surgery, but we'll watch. This is to do with it's nothing serious like cancer in that, but this is to do with a cancer wound that I had from surgery. So that was all good. And the other fun thing I got to do, I don't do this often, but I was able to get through the giant Amazon who overtaken the world, which is okay. Whatever. It's what it is. I got my daughter and my two granddaughters a sushi kit because they love sushi. I don't like sushi.
Ooh,
And it was like 25 bucks on Amazon. And then
nice.
I sent some nori sheets and some rice vinegar. So they got the box and the older granddaughter was sleeping and Charlotte, the little one. So they always send me pictures, her opening it. And I know that they love sushi, right?
Yep.
So I got them that. And then Teresa was away on the island hiking. Her birthday was the 27th. So she's hiking, doing all this stuff with one friend. Now she's gone to Penticton with another friend of hers
Love
to
it.
do like that's just good for her brain. But for her birthday, when she got back, I gave her the same sushi maker. So it's a little box, pretty cute, and it's got like an avocado cutter and rollers. And do you eat sushi?
No, I tried it. I'll try things. I tried it and then I did the same face. It was exactly what I expected. I was not disappointed.
Did you have a California roll?
I have no idea. I had what my friend said, here, try this. I was like,
Yeah.
okay, and I did.
So for those that like sushi, there's only a few on my list there. A lot of people like sushi. Sushi's fine. It doesn't work for me. Like it's the same thing, right? So if you like sushi, who's on here now? There's a few people. If you like sushi, say just throw a little rice bowl or whatever that are little things, right? So,
I
anyways, crazy
appreciate
week. Hashtag
it.
yeah. You know what I was realizing? I actually just had my gray ugly sweatshirt on. I had to go to the gym. I had some stuff to do, right? And so I'm just being transparent here. So sometimes here I wear my nice work shirt. I just get home from work and I do business casual. And then I thought I really like we don't like we're not trying to present this image. We're actually just trying to create connections.
Yeah.
Right?
You're so smart.
Yeah. So the thing I was going to say is that it's actually okay, and this will feed into connections. It's okay to have challenging weeks. We're probably going to have that, right?
That's right.
But it's how we understand that, then recognize it, and then work from there. So
That's exactly right. Exactly right. And I think that's where growth starts. I mean, if you have an expectation that at some point in your life it's going to be all smooth sailing, you need to sit down and we need to have a talk because that's not realistic, right? That's not the real world. And we all have different ideas of what to expect out of life, but I think that's not a realistic. Okay, if you hear the dog, I'm sorry. That's okay. Did we win? Oh, the kids were at baseball. Oh, Alice won. Xavier said he has no idea. Okay, you can put the TV on if you want. They're here for the week, and that's absolutely great. But yeah, so I think having a realistic expectation that there's going to be challenges in life, and this is where the power of connection is something to draw into, right? It's one of our superpowers is being able to connect with like-minded people. And after last week, and we talked about identity a lot of times, yeah, Elaine says, let me know when you reach that point where everything goes smoothly. Exactly right. And a lot of times, I think we all know when you feel disconnected, when you feel lonely, that's when we run into trouble, right? Is in those moments. I got a great, well, it's not a quote, but it's from the Canadian Mental Health Association. Social connection can lower anxiety and depression, help us regulate our emotions. We know that to be true, lead to higher self esteem and empathy, and can actually improve our immune system because we're relaxed, we're connected. We're connected in so many ways that tie in with our identity and then tie into other parts of ourself as well, whether it's, we're connected due to family, but like we have other some siblings I'm not as connected to because I don't have those other things that we have. We have experience together, we have funny stories together, but we have that like-minded mindset, right? That willing to look outside the box, to be open to change, to be always in that growth mindset. I think I may be making some assumptions, but I feel like we're totally on the same level. And I think, it really, and again, in that self reflection, realizing, and you look at it all over, you look at support groups. How do people deal with addiction? They go to NA or they go to AA, right? Oh, thank you, Elaine. We both have an amazing sense of humor. Aha, well said. I agree. But yeah, you're different when somebody's grieving. First thing I say, you should go to a grief support group, right? Or people who are sports fans, talk about connecting, right? You people with your teams. That's a connection, you people with you. 'Cause
Well,
I'm
that's what
party,
I was
but
going to say, right? So it's interesting. So we'll talk about, I'll use the group as an example. I'll use me and Michelle as an
absolutely.
example, right? So one of the things I tell some of the people I do some counseling or whatever, if they're whatever we call it, doesn't matter, right? So one of the things that happens is it takes time. And I have a couple of guys, they're a little bit rough, work through, some addiction and which affect their family life, right? And then the one guy said to me a couple months ago, he goes, "You're just trying to keep me on the hook." Right. And so I'm laughing. I go, okay, first of all, if you want to go pay 200, $250 to somebody else where I'm charging like,
Yeah,
quarter of that, and there's some accountability to that. But I said, here's what happens. And I kind of knew him before, but like we didn't stay in contact. It takes time to create safe space. So what
yeah,
happens is as you like it's like the first time you go to a therapist, if you've ever done their counseling, or same as with you with coaching and stuff, it's
yeah,
like blah blah blah, like it's like they're telling you, like they're just, no, it's not bad, but they're just telling you all their problems, which is okay. But it takes time to develop comfortability. Like some of the people here, and
Alan, Alan.
Alan, love the name. So like there's people that become comfortable with, communicating. There's people that just listen, which is totally fine. Like if you find value and you listen to this later or come on live, we love it, right?
Yep,
But it gets to the point, like me and Michelle have become more and more comfortable, not just with each other, but with being here with you. And it's
absolutely.
been like 6 months, 7 months now, 7 months.
6, 7 months. Yes.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
part of the reason, and Michelle can carry on here, finding connections. Like here's one of the things with mental health again too, talking about some stuff because I do some stuff with them or connected with them to some degree, right? Is what happens is in a place of addiction, but depression and these things, we isolate. And even by the way, even me, I don't know about you, Michelle, but like sometimes if I'm like if my body is suffering with I got a little bit of throat thing, but it's my mind and body want to curl up in a ball and sleep
Oh, totally.
until, and
Yeah,
it's been gloomy here to the stuff, right? But see, I know through experience in creating proper habits that I need to connect. I need to have people that, and I'm very comfortable with people. Like if I meet for the first time, but I'm very transparent, maybe a better way of saying it, right?
right.
I'm totally upfront with people, right? And so I think you guys, like Michelle said this too, she knows most of you. Like some of my people out here come on, but some of them watch later this, but they tell me because it's dinner time or they're driving or whatever, right?
Yeah,
But they're the feedback I get is people going, "We feel like we're in your living room and we're sitting around talking."
that's what we want.
That's
Right.
connecting.
Exactly right. Exactly right. It's so true. And so going back to me for an example, it's so interesting. So I have two jobs, both of which I'm dealing with people all the time. And both I feel they're fulfilling. But my other job, sometimes, I'm booking hotel rooms. Sometimes it's like it's sell, 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 but it can be tiring or it's quiet, that's tiring. I'm like, oh my gosh, please put me out of my misery. But there's different times at the end of my day where I might have a Zoom coaching, excuse me, or my physical one where I'm like, oh my gosh, I just feel like not going, I'm not in the right mindset, whatever. And I walk out from being with that group, I feel like $1 million because I've
Yeah,
made the connection, because we're helping each other, because we're showing empathy. Um, and I am myself. Like I go there, I get on the scale, I don't yell out my weight, but I laugh about my hair being too heavy when I'm over or whatever. Like, we have a good time and I walk away. I feel pumped up. I feel like I could, oh my gosh, I went from walking on eggshells to walking on the clouds, right? So I feel so good and so invigorated. And I can't even imagine if I didn't have, and even with the other job, because I mean, just some days are longer than others. But without that human connection, that's where people feel isolated. That's where they feel alone. And as a result, the opposite of a connecting mindset is a divisive mindset, right? Where you feel divided, where you feel alone. Excuse me. Cheers, everybody. I need a drink.
We both have the same cough. I had that today, like something in my throat. But
Yeah.
and I was gonna say, so our other sisters on too. You know who you are. You can put in the comments. But with we're really fortunate, and it actually makes my heart big. Right? Is we have our siblings that jump in and off. My
Yeah.
daughter, family members, right?
Yeah.
And they know us. So both my sisters, so Michelle and my sister that's on that she can name herself. Like one of the like because of distance, one of the things I wrote down, what stops us from connecting. So we'll get to that in a second, right?
Yeah.
But I have to say this with all honesty, like with my two sisters here, and I have four sisters, right? And two
Right.
brothers, right? Um, when we connected, Michelle and I've shared when all of us got back together, she messaged you.
No, I'm thinking that you know of.
Yeah, my little secret, like I'm espionage in the States or something. And so what happened with us, like we've shared, is like we were all separated for different things. Like
Yeah.
I live here with my mom, with our mom. I was telling my mom today or yesterday, I was saying the good and bad of this, by the way, I've lived in the same city more than anybody else with her.
Yeah.
Being honest, she won't be on here. The good and bad of that, because
Yeah.
family can drive you crazy.
Absolutely.
But when we all connected as siblings, and there's something that's a whole different topic, and so there's something really unique with that. And the first time we met, we had this nervous energy, and we're all funny and whatever, right? But I know that I can go. Actually, I can say all of my siblings in the East Coast, when I visit, and I'm due for another visit at some point, I can go spend a day with them, and I feel like
Good.
I saw them yesterday, right?
That's
So there's
right.
something, and it's not because we have the same blood, so let's leave that out. There's just something that we've connected. How many times have we met, you and me? Under 10 times.
Oh, I think under 5 face to face, maybe 4 or 5, maybe 5.
I've been out there 3 times, and you've been out here 3 times. So anyways, doesn't matter.
6.
Not a lottery ticket. Anyways, but in that, so that's one thing you talk about, how to connect, whatever. And there is this, sometimes there's awkwardness in our, so I wrote the question, what stops us from connecting? You can throw some stuffs on there if you guys want, and Michelle, you can kind of give some of your thoughts. When we're in our little society, little circle, and we have a spouse and family members and friends, it's interesting what stops us from connecting. So obviously with a husband and wife, if the husband feels he's got secrets and he can't share with his wife because he feels vulnerable, and it's half the time it's got nothing to do with the wife, it's got to do with their insecurity and trust.
Totally.
Right?
Totally.
So you have that, and then you have I call them my big fish people, that you connect right away with them. And like some of the friends, my guys I talk to, some of them, right, they're telling you bits of truth. They want to be vulnerable. I think men have a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
They want to be vulnerable, but not too much. They want to say, like, I'm struggling, but they make like, oh yeah, I had a 30-second struggle. And I'm not even talking about addiction, just like in anything, depression, right?
Sure.
So when we build connections, and I shouldn't genderize, but I do think women are normally better at this. Like, I'm going to use you and Al, right? I don't know your situation. You're more connected with people than him, I'm assuming, right?
Totally. That's
Yeah.
right. Yeah.
And I'm not like, he's a bit isolated and stuff too, but it's that men to have a guy they can phone up and say, hey, man, I'm really hurting. I'm struggling. I don't know what to do with this crap, right?
That's right. That's right.
It takes the guys, that's what I tell the guys I'm dealing with. I said, I'm not trying to make money off you. I'm trying to get to the place where you trust me enough, we can be vulnerable and we can work through stuff.
Well, and you know what? Sometimes it's not even going and sharing what's going on. It's just changing your environment. Let's just go and throw a ball back and forth. Let's just go and listen to a band. I can't even hear you. The band is so loud. But we're gonna do that thing again, like
I'll save it for next time. We should do it. You know what? You know, it'd be hilarious. So I've got a song that I recorded before COVID. You guys will hear it. We've got a professional recording I had for years ago. I'm supposed to send it to Michelle, and it'll be our introduction, Michelle. That'll be fun. So but you're techie before we do it. But what we both have to do, if you can do this, is I could do this, and I could turn in, and then you could turn in. It's so silly. It'll make people at it'll either make people at ease with us or they'll leave. Anyways, we'll do a little.
The gift that keeps giving, because I'm still laughing about that. Oh my gosh, that was so funny. Maybe because I wasn't expecting it, but that was a great moment. That's so funny. But yeah, you're so right. And so that's where, like, imagine when you're feeling down and you're feeling disconnected. And when you have that, like, I'm so alone, then you start having that us or them mindset. You start focusing on the differences. Well, why did he survive that? And I couldn't survive that. Or why is she carrying on with her life? And I'm so sad and miserable sitting here. Or dominance comes in, gossip, right? All these things are all part. But when you switch it around, and of course, we have to acknowledge every scenario is different. There's some scenarios where you need to be on your game and you don't want to conform, or just because other people are doing it means that you should do it. But when you have that, when you feel connected, and it's funny when you were talking about, like, when we all got together that time, like the very first time, there was like two siblings I'd never met before. But what connected us? It's so funny. The ones of us that smoked, we were connected. The ones, like, the girls sort of connected. You know what I mean? There's still different identity groups, if you will, that drew us in. And then from there, different relationships grew. Like, I talked on the phone to Tim for years, but never met him. So once I felt like I was brave enough to start the conversation with him, I had some I had some information, like, do you still live in 100 Mile House, or like, what? It was all outdated information, but even still, I had that start, and he hadn't for years, but I had that starting point, right? So when you feel that connecting mindset as well, you feel more relaxed. So that's why it helps your immune system. You also can connect to similarities versus differences, and you feel helpful. You feel like you want to go, like doing the random acts of kindness. It's good karma. It comes back to you when you feel helpful, when you feel like you're making a difference. And it doesn't have to be something that we would show, like, we would generally think of as a high value. It could be, I'm helpful because whenever I see somebody coming, I hold the door out for them. That's a single mom with a stroller, that's a big help, right? And then maybe a conversation would ensue, like, takes a mom to help another mom, or, like, I don't know, some comment that comes out. So doing that, and again, your mindset is another muscle to flex. But when you feel that you have connections with people, maybe that's where some new relationships would start. Like, if it's like, say I'm somebody that, just for an example, I really used to play euchre. So, check around in your community. See, a lot of places, like here in Sarnia, they have euchre nights. There's a couple pubs that do, but I mean, you shouldn't, if you're not into alcohol, don't feel like, that should be a problem to go and not drink. Or the Sarnia Legion, they have euchre night. I think the Moose Lodge does. So what makes your heart hum and what gives you joy? Maybe tap into that for a connection. If you like music, maybe do you have open mic nights where you live?
I'm sure they do.
Yeah, so that, or, here's a fun fact. We were never religious growing up. My dad loved to sing. He was in the theater for years and years. And when I think he was also still in the theater, he joined a church just to sing in the choir, just to be with like minded people. And yep, he like literally joined the church, and my mom would go, some of her friends went. So even though maybe it wasn't the church reason that they joined, he found the connection, she found the connection, and then they went together and they divided and regrouped after. So, that was something that really gave him joy, and he was very good at it. And it probably because, different types of music would challenge his skill, he would like that. So when you think about yourself using this as a tool to help your own mental wellness, thinking about, well, what's something that really makes my heart hum, that I can, like Teresa's another great example. Her with her hiking and climbing and walking. She's found her tribe, right? It might not be everybody all at the same time, but she goes and she connects with them. And then connecting with nature. I mean, I could talk about that for a whole hour easy. That's such a big thing.
Yeah. And I think too, so understanding human connection. So we all know about therapy dogs. We know about, like, I'm
Oh,
sure
yeah.
here, I'm sure there's people here on here or people listen later that like your animal is so important. So here in our where I live now, my wife's gone to do her stuff. As I said before, we don't live together. I always ask her, are we like separated, but we're boyfriend, girlfriend? Are
Right.
we married? And like, and I tease her a bit, right? But I'll have Ethan for like 10 days. It'll work out. So we have
Yes.
this cat. He's got a big fat cat like Garfield, but it's black tuxedo and
Okay.
it's all Grim. And so that cat doesn't really do anything, by the way. It eats and sleeps.
Yeah, they
It
use
can
you.
barely jump up, but it's their therapy cat. So Teresa was home for a day, day two sleeps. She got home late Monday night, left Wednesday morning. And so she was here last night just for a little bit. I made dinner for her and she's packing for the next trip. And she goes, I miss Grim. And I knew that because it's this familiar thing, right?
That's right.
So the thing about, so I'm widening the thing and bring back with connection. Connecting, like we can all be peopled out. Like my granddaughter have social anxiety. Now they
Right.
don't see anybody. They go shopping once a week to an hour away to Walmart and they see people. But so I'm trying to, as a grandpa and a dad, help that. It
Of
takes
course.
time because you're used to telling yourself that you're rehearsing and then you're living out this place of anxiety and stuff, right?
That's right.
I wrote down what stops us from connecting, so I'll get you to throw a few things out too. Fear, um, um, habitual mental and physical, emotional, habitual handcuffs, by the way, put them together. Because if you're where you're at and you feel like you've got all your stuff together, good for you. Help us, please. But to be so dealing with fear, dealing with grief is another one. It in our Western culture, it's very easy to internalize grief, and grief can be. And me and Michelle have talked about this before in here, like grieving is not unhealthy. Grieving, there's good grieving, and grieving is a part of walking through our emotional components, and it doesn't hit us. It's not all on us all the time, but having people to walk through that with and share, like Michelle, in our relationship, I'm learning more, right?
Right.
But we don't deal with loss very well. Here's a few things I was going to say about creating your bond for connecting. I got hashtags by Michelle, just
All
so you know. You can't
right.
probably see.
Hashtags.
Yeah. So I got hashtag being self authentic,
Yep.
and that's a hard one because we don't like to step on the scale. We don't like to look in the mirror. Um, we can be like, I don't think anybody's a 1 out of 10 like that messed up. We can feel like that sometimes.
Mm.
But if we're not willing to realize our needs and have goals and these things, we'll be in the same place next week, and the week after, and the week after, the month after. So hashtag self-authentic, hashtag self-transparent, and you probably deal that with your one job to get people to be okay to stand on the scale. I saw this surgeon today. I've lost 50 pounds, so I feel great. Where's the pom poms?
Yeah, they're up
And
here. Hold on.
and
Oh,
but I asked him, he's a surgeon, but I asked him about getting surgery on this huge hernia I have. It's like really bad. I'm not showing anybody, by the way. And he says, he says, like, he goes, I wouldn't do it. You should go back to the special surgeon in Vancouver. But he goes, you got to lose at least another 30 pounds,
Hmm,
at least. And that's not even a guarantee.
right.
So that before can send me off in some different place. But for me, I'm allowing to be a challenge. And by the way, me sharing that with you guys, this is like WW stuff,
Yeah.
it makes me accountable. Some people will ask me, some people I know that I deal with, they say, hey, how's it going? Right.
Yeah,
So
good.
here's another one. Be aware of first in relationship, no assumptions. Don't make an assumption of somebody. Ask a question.
That's right.
Ask a question. Hey, what's going on? Right. But be aware of your surroundings, internal and external. That's another hard one. That's actually a life journey till the day you die.
Mm,
Do a, me and Michelle talk about a wellness check, right? And that doesn't have to be like I'm fairly headstrong, like in these last several years more so. I love information, I love learning about the way we're wired, but I have to do a self check every day, being honest,
yeah.
to make sure, even if I'm feeling like 8 out of 10 or I got a good day and I got things conquered, I still will do a self check in, I guess what it is, right? And and the freebie I'm going to tell you, because you talk about your grandpa, so you got to look this up. Michelle was raised by English people. I was going to make a joke about a bull terrier and something, but I don't remember the joke. It's an English joke
Okay.
about two English dogs.
I wouldn't get it.
No, in England. So look this up. Make a note. In England, there's a thing called panto. Panto is this theater in every little town. It's like pantomime, but what it would be,
Oh,
we went and saw, I don't know, Goldilocks, Three Bears, whatever. Like it would. Do you remember Rocky Horror Picture Show?
yeah.
So if you ever go to the theater to see that, they're throwing toast and they're dressing up. So
Yes.
a panto in England, we went to one, wasn't on my bucket list. Now it's checked off my bucket list. And you go there, and what they do is they're the main character and female character switch roles. So the man dressed like the woman like the man.
Okay.
And it's theater in England. England they're big on the theater, and some they do some singing sometimes or whatever, right? We went to a theater that was like 300 and some years old in the town we lived in. It was punched in. It was you could smell people sweat around you, which was disgusting. It was the most hilarious thing I've ever seen. One of the most hilarious things I've seen. But you know what I realized? Talk about connecting. So we were brought there by the people we were helping in England for the year. Watching people leave there with smiles and laughing, and it's not like us going to a theater here with a few friends and watching Transformers, whatever you're watching, right?
Right.
Which is not bad anyway. But this, like in England, the pub scene,
Yes.
not connecting at home and not connecting at work, called third places, having these places to connect. And you don't have to connect on deep level 10. Like
Right.
Michelle said, it's sometimes playing darts, it's sometimes having a beer or a coffee, sitting at
Exactly.
a bench, right?
Yeah.
So learning, and if you're like not, if you're an extrovert and what's the other one?
Introvert.
Introvert. I'm putting like three other words in the middle of it. Like it's okay to be an introvert. Make sure you're connecting, because when something happens, especially mentally, emotionally, that what that does is it makes your that slide the cycle, the recovery, it
Yeah.
can easily make it longer. So what would take you maybe a day or two or a week to get through, having people check in on your friends, that's your part of connection.
Yeah. Oh,
Hey Michelle,
that's
how's you doing?
yeah, exactly right. Exactly right. And if you disassociate from all your circles, and I'm sad to report, I've seen this with some of our members through Zoom, that they totally disconnected, and some of it was because of COVID. And then next thing you know, they have tunnel vision on mainstream media and the algorithms on their social media. And they're in a dark place and they think the world is not as it is. Right. So, like, it's just putting yourself in check. And I think one of the things you said about like your wellness and the scale, you can't give that scale the power. You can't, like, you have to take your power back. You have a lot more power than you think, and you can't overthink it and think, well, if I reach out, then they're going to think I'm weak, or they're going to think, don't reach out like that. Like, you don't have to start it with help. You can start it with, hey, what are you doing this weekend? Or hey, I saw there's I whatever, you know, or do you, I don't know, like whatever your common denominator is that you know this person, just go back to the basics and just
Yeah.
reconnect. I have some friends that are very good friends I don't talk to very often, and I'll reach out to them randomly and be like, I saw your name and I thought I must know you. And then it starts out with a joke and we reconnect. And even if it's just briefly or sharing memes or sharing I thought of a certain thing. Actually, here's a fun fact. I was chatting with you after one of our shows, if you will, and we were chatting and it made me think of my friend Robin, who I haven't seen in probably 15, 20 years. She lives in the Philippines now. After you and I shared a story, it doesn't matter, I'm not going to share it now, but I shared a story about me and her driving in her convertible. And then I messaged her after and I said, like, fun fact, I was telling this story and I reminded her of the whole story in detail and what a fun time, and how here all these years later I get so much joy and I feel so much love in my heart for her and our friendship. And like, seriously, she lives in the Philippines. We haven't, except for liking each other's posts, but it was an instant reconnect. And now, at some point when she's visiting, hopefully she has time for a coffee with me or something. But like, it's just so powerful. So I think a lot of times we really overthink these things about getting back in contact. And then the other part of it, if I can divert a little bit, when we're doing interactions with people, quite often, if we're in a mood or we have a mindset or we're distracted by things going on that are draining, we forget that we have connection to that other human being as well. It might be, it could be absolutely anything, but that's where empathy and compassion comes in. Like when we talk about the driver cutting you off, like cutting any, not you, but like cutting you off and how you respond. Like you have lots of ways you can respond. Is it empathetically? Is it
I don't, so don't do this. Don't pretend your fingers are a gun. That's not a good way to respond.
yeah, don't do that. Don't, no one finger salutes. Don't do that. But keeping in mind that, like, well, I hope everything's okay. Like, is their wife in the car having a baby? I don't know. Is there, you know what I mean? Instead of being like, oh, that effing blah blah blah. Right? Like that switch just changes it. And I always fall back on, am I ever glad he cut me off? Because I'm a good driver. Perfect driver. But
Michelle looks for this pearl, which is a good thing.
yeah, right. Yeah, exactly. Exactly. So, that perspective, I've heard you speak of that before. It is so powerful because it changes the frame. Because same scenario, you can then walk in the house, yell at your wife, kick the dog, blah, blah, blah. And then the toast is burnt. So you're going to bitch and complain about that and everything else, right? It serves no purpose except for it's literally harmful to you and any other relationship that you carry that forward and overflow into. So it's amazing how connected we are. And yeah, oh my gosh, how connected we are, and how it's so funny. So once upon a time I used to have banners on my car, and Al and I do not have the same mindset. Full disclaimer right there. And there was a couple times where we were in that scenario and he gave a one finger salute and I was mortified because we're fine. And how do I know that's not one of my members? How do I know that's not a Sarnia Rocks person? Like, I wear all these different hats, and Sarnia Rocks was right in my back windshield. Oh my God. And I think Positive Power, that was on there too. Oh my gosh. And then I'm like, and then it starts conflict between us, and we were fine. So, just putting yourself in check. He should have said, honey, you're such a good driver. I'm glad that happened to you. But that's not the way it played out. Just saying.
So I'm going to say a few things. I love that. I love that. So one of the things that I do, if you go driving with a partner, do this. So this is free. This is a free advice. This isn't giving the salute. Wave when cars go by, wave at them. I do this time, and Teresa and my son are embarrassed, by the way,
Okay.
because the person in the car is going, "Oh, did I know that person?" Like it's not like a negative. It's just it's my little fun fact, right?
Yeah.
I'm going to tell a few. I'm going to tell a couple stories. So first of all, remember the power of story.
Yep.
And what Michelle does really well, and we're all working towards it, is change the negative narrative. So those remember those two things, right? I'm going to tell stories because I've got two sisters on, and I've got a sister here. So when I drove across Canada, how long was it, Michelle? 3 years ago?
Sure.
Must
Yep. I think so.
So I had a dream. I was doing the stories across Canada thing, anyways, right? So I realized the journey because of COVID, and I did some interviewing people, and I didn't want to. I interviewed like a nurse and professor in politics and somebody who works with Indigenous people in northern Manitoba. So I was able to do some stuff. I interviewed my sister, by the way, Michelle. And the whole thing in doing that is I want to just let the power of story work, right? So, anyways, the drive was long by myself. Michelle's done it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the first person getting to Ontario, I know I had a weekend break. So the first story is I get here and I'm staying in a hotel in Sarnia. And I haven't stayed at my sister's place. I know I have a long time ago. I remember. But I got a hotel and we met for dinner and a couple of pictures and I've interviewed her, right? So it was such a good after this. And driving from Manitoba to Ontario was long. Ontario was long and it's not very fun, right?
Yeah.
Northern Ontario is boring,
Yeah.
right? So, anyways, so saw Michelle. We had a good connection. We had that little interaction with the waitress when we were at the place,
Yeah.
right?
Good. Yes.
And then I left Michelle, or I left Sarnia the next day, and I went to my sister. I'm using names now, sorry, girls. Went to my sister Wendy, who's on here. So Wendy she's my sister, Wendy and Kim and Chris, who's passed away, and they were with my stepdad. They were their kids, and we were like every second weekend, I think, raising it. So Wendy, so I get there. Wendy and her husband Darren I love these guys. They're like family. So talk about connecting and feeling comfortable. So I get there, and I think I was there for a day, maybe like I think one sleep. She'll let me know, right? We watched the whole first season, 8 episodes of the Squid Games,
Hmm.
and we were intrigued, and we kind of connected on the couch and ate and did whatever. So it was such a we're comfortable enough to do that, right? Which was great. And then her and I sometimes we'll have different conversations. Very caring person, right? Then I leave there. Then I go to my sister Tina,
Hmm.
and so Tina and her husband and family. I think it was Tina and why am I thinking Al? What?
Oh, Carl.
Carl. I'm thinking Al.
Carl. Yeah.
Carl. And so I don't know how long my sister was doing, but they had a spare room that they wanted to make it nice for me, and they painted it and did whatever. And some of her boys live there, and all different personalities. And so I just love that attention. I stayed there for one night, and what we did, because I was raised this way, is me and Tina doesn't do that. I'm not a drinker, but I can drink. I'm not scared to have a drink, but I don't think I've had a beer in a year, right? So we're drinking and playing cards, playing poker with her boys.
Okay.
And in this, so this is connecting in a weird way. In it, one of them may have had many drinks, and the rest of us were little drinks, so that's I'll leave. But the connecting and the bit of in fun, trash talking and something like that,
Right.
like not being mean trash talking, by the way.
Oh.
Like you can't buy that stuff.
Right.
So again, here's the thing is when we talk about isolation with COVID too, what it did mentally and physically, and then the ability of having everything online. Like we're connecting here, but this is good, but you need to be in people's space if you can, right? I have a friend who I'm counseling and family, challenge or whatever, and he took up he found a course in his city, and he took up rearranging cactus little planter things for the house.
Okay.
This guy doesn't look like he's into cactuses.
Sure.
But he realized I needed to do something.
That's right.
Because all of his connection was with his kids, because his ex-wife shared the kids. And I love that, right? So understanding the power of story, you got to be available for the story. A few weeks ago, when I was trying to do, when my phone was overheating, when I was out in
Oh,
nature,
yeah, right, yeah,
that little connection at Tim's, showing kindness,
yeah,
this is sidebar, but it's part of connecting. You you will never understand, maybe till the day we die, if we understand, whatever, those little random things, how they impact people, and
that's
they tell
exactly,
people, then they're motivated. And so again, connecting on a friendship level, or with counseling, but friendship or family, when you can allow some of the barriers to go, that's an incredible helpful and healthy tool,
absolutely,
because we, and generally speaking, we want to figure out our own conflict on our own, and we it's hard for some groups of people to do it on our own. I've been out of that. Like, it's taken me probably 2/3 of my, well, probably 45, 50 years. I just tried to figure out my own stuff. I wasn't vulnerable. I was scared to be vulnerable. And then I had a crisis in my life, which was cancer, and it shifted me. I was friendly before and nice, right? But
you're okay,
I was okay, right? But yeah, so part of it is, so like I said, power story. Realize your story, not your
yes.
negative story.
Everybody has a story, right? And it's so important that you share it and embrace it and take the lessons from it. Absolutely. It's such a key part, I think, of the whole thing. And if we don't look back in reflection, how are we going to move forward?
Yeah.
It's all tied in together, right? Everything is. So I see Ronnie. Sorry, I've known him forever. I call him Ronnie. He's officially Ron. So he says, become a part of the world. Do not let the world become a part of you. Right. So it's so interesting, that perspective and what we can carry forward and embrace those relationships. And of course, without letting people, like, you get what you tolerate. So carrying forward with the healthy ones. And if the relationships or the connections aren't serving you, if you feel exhausted after, or weighed down or drained, rethink it, or create some distance, or connect differently. Right. But the ones that are healthy, I mean, that's what you want. You want to be the best you that you can be, but it's going to be over time. It's baby steps to get you there, right? So it's the whole process. And I think this is where, when we talked about even setting goals, breaking it down to small things. So even with this, break it down to small things. Like, if I could be doing anything, what would I be doing? Who would I be doing it with? What does that look like? If that's not achievable, switch it up a little bit. What can I do, right? What can I change? What does that look like? And it's just so very important, because you need those healthy interactions. And as far as the physical interactions, science shows us we emit an energy. Like, that's why we know, if me and Wendy, our sister, if we're sitting in a room and we're having a good laugh, but our faces go straight right as you're walking in, for whatever reason, you're just going to know. You can feel that energy, and that's part of the connection. That's why hugs are so powerful, right? Not like a quick bouncing off you hug, like solid holding on to somebody for a minute, is like the energy that's there, the heart to heart. That's a whole nother topic for another time. But it's real and true, right? Being around like-minded people, it helps, it makes us feel good, and it makes us realize we're not alone. If it's a support group, you're not alone. Other people have issues too, might not be exactly the same, but we all have a biography inside of us that's just waiting to be written.
One of the things I was going to say, because we mostly talk about positive. We're trying to be positive, and we don't do that to ignore the negative. But you
Right.
want to encourage yourself to grow, not beat yourself up to grow,
That's
right?
right.
So one thing I was going to say, this happened a little while ago, last year. Two little quick stories, right? So for those that are you've been in a relationship for a long time, have a great relationship, right? That's cool, awesome, way to go. Some people have a long-term relationship with not a lot of communication, somewhat more. Like we're all, like Michelle said earlier, we're different, right? So what happens is, it's my neighbor's dog. It's funny, but anyways, we I have some friends that um, are so, and before COVID, their relationship is based on, it's a husband and wife, and that's all they do. That's all they do, and they can have kids and siblings. All they do. So 2 years ago, I had a friend, family friend, like a friend of me and Teresa, we've known for a long time, and one of the spouses passed away unexpectedly. This and the kids had, grown up and they lived in different places, and there's
Sure.
some, but this person was so lost. They didn't know how to connect outside of just with your spouse.
Right.
And it's not a bad thing. They love their spouse. I had another friend who, and so the reason I'm just telling you, that's just a freebie for those that have incredible connections. Make sure you don't have to be an extrovert. If you're not intentional, it's not going to happen. I'm just telling you the truth. This story, this person is still stuck. This person is, even if they're in a room with somebody, they're not there really. Their body's there, right? And it's sad. It's a friend, right? We had another family, friends of the family years ago, where they both passed away. Now both of them, of these people, we know their kids and grandkids. So like I've known them for 35 years. And the wife got cancer. She got bone cancer. It was very painful cancer. She was a church person. This is hilarious. She was a church person. Both of them were. I knew them from church, and she, she was paying for, what do they give you for pain in the hospital? Morphine.
Yeah.
She was paying, after whatever coverage they had, she was paying about $400 a month for morphine, and it really wasn't helping her. She was at the point with this bone cancer thing that it was pain management. That was it, right? So I actually, and sorry for anybody who's offended by this, I was taking CBD oil for some pain management for me, right?
Yeah.
And so I saw the lady that was caring for her, who was another friend of mine. I said, how's it going with her? And she'd go, oh, it's so bad, because this friend would take her out. She was like a care aid thing, right? And I said, here's a freebie. You can go, because she's not driving anymore or whatever. I said, why don't you go? She was raised in a very traditional church. So this is all her life, what she knew. And so I said to my friend, I said, seriously, she's got nothing to lose. Go to this shop. It's, it's Canadian registered.
Yeah.
And I saw the caregiver. Oh no, I saw the caregiver about a month later, and she switched. So now her medication cost was under $100, and she was taking she needed to take a high THC to deal with the pain, right?
Right.
And then she passed away a few months later. I remember seeing her and her husband, who ended up getting cancer. He died a month after, so it's pretty sad, right? One of my friends who I've invited to this has been so open on Instagram talking about working through grief. She lost mom and dad in a month, right?
Yeah.
But it's just hard. And she's honest and she's transparent. She's got lovely kids and a lovely husband, right? And a brother. Like, I know this family, right? But here's the thing: this, in connection, seeing these people, I didn't see all the time because my life had changed and stuff. But in connection and feeling comfortable, I didn't have a problem saying, hey, you've got nothing to lose. Go talk to people, try it out.
For sure.
Her last few months of her life, and it wasn't like a hippie tripping when we were hippies, by the way. She wasn't on peyote or somewhere, right? But I saw the caregiver and says, Tom, you have no idea how at peace she's at.
Love it.
And I thought, so this is why connection is important, because something come out of the blue, that's you have an influence and an effect on people's lives, and to you it might not be a big thing, right? My sister, who's on here too, was in a bike accident years ago. She can correct me, whatever. She can mess with me if she doesn't like it. Like, so her husband liked riding bikes and doing stuff. They were hard workers and wonderful people, right? I was thinking about how to change the narrative.
Yeah.
She had no choice but to work through recovery on her. I think her leg was pretty messed up. Was it her leg, Michelle?
It was her ankle, I think. Right
Yeah,
there.
it was a long, see, so here's the thing is we forget, like we get stuck. By the way, if you got a job that sucks, look, you don't have to quit, but look for other jobs.
Ah,
Find if you've got people that drain you, like in the industry that me and Michelle in, I work with, I have people that it's really hard in the food service industry, coffee shops, with counseling. It doesn't drain me. I'm okay with it, but I make sure I bring in people that make me laugh.
that's right.
Panto made me laugh.
Right.
Watching certain comedians on YouTube, Canadian comedians, I don't like it really gross. They make me laugh. Stupid cats.
Absolutely.
So those things break down your guarding, right? But you have to be, it has to become a value to want to change so you can be healthier. That's why I use my sister's bike thing. She didn't have a choice. Well, she could have not did rehab and lived with whatever damage. She worked her butt off
That's right.
to get to the
Come
place
back
where she said,
strong.
yeah.
Yeah.
So we want to do that. If relationships are hard for you, and have people you trust, you can talk to Michelle or me or other people. You don't want the stain and the pain of an old relationship to affect your new relationship. Another little sidebar. My daughter, if she's on here or not, she can deal with me. My daughter was in a very toxic relationship 10 years, and she separated from her husband a year ago. She's in northern Alberta in a place that I bought. We miss them. They're 12 hours away. I've shared before. And she's working through social anxiety, but she got her driver's license. She never did. She's in a little town, so she feels better.
Yeah,
she got a job working from home, taking care of 2 kids in a house. It's freaking hard for those women who know that, right? And for her, when her and I talk, it's like, if you don't deal, I bug her to get therapy or counseling, right? She's starting, right? Because she doesn't want to be alone. And I said, you will get into a relationship and somebody's going to trigger you. They may not be the person your ex-husband is. You know that, we know this, like a lot of them know this are bad relationships, right?
That's right.
I'm a good relationship, by the way. My wife would tell you she's got burnout, right? I'm pretty good, not bad. But
we're not gonna ask her.
You'll carry negative baggage and not worth the baggage into the next relationship, or it'll stop you. It'll stop you from having friends if you have somebody who broke your trust and ratted on you.
That's right.
It's hard, but you don't want to be stuck. You don't want the guy who cut you off to ruin your day.
That's exactly right. That's giving away your power right there.
You hashtag giving away your power. That's yours.
Hashtag giving away your power. That's exactly right. It's
you got a video or something you want to show, right?
I do. Yeah, I was just gonna say, let's do that now, because I feel like you're gonna want to have a word about it after. So full disclaimer, there's some lines in a different language. The verbiage is going to go along the bottom. I can read it out, but I don't feel it's really necessary. I think everybody can read. So we're probably okay. The majority of it is not. So I feel you're all fully capable. I believe in you. And it's not very long. We will discuss at the end and go.
These people have a lot to talk about. They just don't know it yet. In a minute, we'll show them that they have more in common than they think.
Hej alle sammen. Tak fordi I er kommet. Thomas, vil du stille dig der? Og Aske? Thomas, du bor med din familie i et dejligt hus på Vinkelhøj 8 i Viby. Før I flyttede ind, var det faktisk dit barndomshjem, Aske.
Det er rigtigt. Ja. Fodbold i haven om sommeren. Og
det kan jeg lige forestille mig.
Ja, præcis.
Vi laver igen.
Mathilde, vil du komme herop?
Hej.
I to har faktisk stået over for hinanden før.
Okay.
Men der var I 12 år. Og det var i en rugbykamp.
Okay, ja.
Kampen endte i øvrigt 42-0 til Askes hold.
Tak for kampen. Ja, tak.
Inger, Mathilde, den nat, du kom til verden for 27 år siden på Christiania, var Inger det første menneske, du så.
Var du min jordmor? Nå. Det var fint. Kan du huske det?
Anna, i 2012 er din mand ude at løbe en tur. Pludselig falder han om med hjertestop.
Ja.
Heldigvis er der en, der reagerer hurtigt og redder ham. Knud, vil du komme herop?
Tak for det. Godt at hilse på dig.
Just below the surface, a total stranger can turn out to be someone you're actually connected to.
Det er godt et stykke tid siden.
Someone who rouses forgotten memories. Like the very first kiss. Someone who reminds you that you're not alone. But that somebody else also has a bulldog named Prebin. Someone like Thomas, who put out a fire at Vibeka's place.
Vi er så taknemmelige for, at brandvæsenet kom så hurtigt.
Someone you've been gaming with for years, but
Kender I to hinanden?
have never met.
Altamon, mød Lil Salt.
Det er løgn. Du er topfraggeren.
Jeg var fandme kendt den anden i 3-4 år, uden at nogensinde mødt den anden, eller set den anden før. Altså.
If we approach each other, we might find out that we share the same destiny.
Rana og Macha, I kom til Danmark fra Syrien for 4 år siden. Dorit og Jan, I har en lignende historie fra 2. verdenskrig.
Jeg har prøvet at være flygtning, og jeg vil aldrig glemme det. Det har betydet usigeligt meget.
Og Rikke, det var din oldefar, der risikerede sit liv ved at sejle Jan over Øresund den oktoberaften i 1943.
It's easy to mind your own business. It takes a little more effort to mind the community. But doesn't the feeling of having something in common, something that connects us, make it all worthwhile? TV2, all that we share.
Right? So what if that was somebody that cut you off?
Huh?
What if, are you okay? I said, what if that was somebody that cut you off? Look at those amazing connections they never knew that they had, right? I'll give you a minute. They're so super special. And I think that, and I'll share that video on the page, but I think it's just so important to realize we're all connected in one way or another. Whether it's the ones that had the dogs had the same name. I am connected to everybody that has a dog called Kevin. Right? Like we're all connected. It's so important. So I'm going to give you my quote and then I'm going to put it back to you. And this is also being shared on the page. It's by Olivia Wilde. We need to remind ourselves of the beauty of human connection and of nature and pull ourselves out of devices for a moment and appreciate what it is just to be human. Mic drop.
Love it. See, here's the thing, right? So some of us are fearful of being emotional, and part of it is we feel like it's uncomfortable, right? Like I'm gonna tell you one of the worst things I did. I was with my wife. We were in this kind of weekend retreat type thing, and they took the women away only one time and the men away. And it was kind of not heavy, lighthearted, but the women got away and they were just talking about some stuff with women.
Yeah.
And she came out and she had been crying, right? And I said, "Oh, were you crying?" And I wasn't trying to be insensitive. that became a shut door for her, and it actually affected us for years.
Mhm,
And it
mhm.
wasn't that I was being mean or she was being oversensitive. It was kind of this trigger thing. So it takes time to learn, right? So first of all, the work that people did on that video, oh my word, I don't want to even see. We see a 5-minute video that probably took maybe even years to put together, and they do it to help us, right? So what I wrote earlier about be aware of your surroundings, you it is easy to live in a cocoon and in a pod. It's easy to do it personally, and it's easy to do it in your little life cycle, right? You go to work, come home, weekend, you go out with your spouse, do this, do that. And if you don't create little spaces, you're not going to understand the influence you're going to have on people. I've had people come up to me, the people I thought have influenced the most, Michelle, I've had people come up to me that I'm going like I know they are, but I saw you in a coffee shop, whatever, right?
Right.
And they say something that was profound to them a dozen years ago, and I didn't think it was that special, right? So
Yeah.
part of it is, and we're not saying it's to be weird. Part of it is being naturally kind of supernatural. Be aware, superpowers, right? Be aware.
Yeah.
I watched. So I'm going to end with this, and I might put this on. I had to pay for this movie, Michelle, and it was worth paying for it.
Mm.
And there's a movie that just came out called Freud's Last Session.
Okay.
And the movie, I didn't remember the name, so I'm just putting it on here. I'm not putting it on to listen to it. It's a movie on the eve of World War II. Two of the greatest minds of the 20th century, Sigmund Freud and C.S. Lewis, converge for debate and contemplation on their respective lives. You've heard of who C.S. Lewis is, right?
Mm.
Probably, yeah. So first of all, history information. I didn't realize. I thought Freud was before. We know most of us know Freud is, right?
Right.
So I'm telling you, this interaction to these two guys, I would pay another $7 and watch it again.
Oh, cool.
I don't know if I find it for free, right? But this idea and this human wrestle, and so I'm not going to do any spoilers, but they're dealing with some of their pain from their past not met that stops them from have experience being enlightened, right? And it's got C.S. Lewis he wrote Chronicles of Narnia, and he's a faith guy. Freud, of course, is not. But as they intertwine their story, whoever filmed this, and at the end of it, they say, we don't know if C.S. Lewis met Freud, but we know that Freud met a contemporary. I was going, this is awesome, right? Because they created this narrative on they weren't fearful of each other. And actually, C.S. Lewis at one goes like we're very different. Why did you invite me here? And he goes, why did you come? Right? So part of it is we want to, like, if you want to leave some baggage, and it's not always easy, grab the bag, visible bag, open it up, put all your fear into the bag,
That's right.
close it up, go burn it in the fire pit, or go throw it in the
That's
garbage,
right.
put it on the street. Whenever fear comes, and fear is it stops us from loving people, being well, loving ourselves, moving forward. Fear is crippling. I took a course in fear and phobias, right? Fear is one of these things that cripple us.
Absolutely.
Fear of relationship. Like I said earlier with my daughter, to go into a relationship, the guy she was with was pretty narcissistic. And I don't throw the word around. Like, we can have narcissistic qualities. This guy was like 10 out of 11, right? And I actually love this guy, but he has no skill in relationship. But I told her, if you don't know how to deal with internally how you coped and didn't deal with stuff in that, you're going to bring that into your next relationship.
Absolutely.
Right?
Yeah, for sure. And owning your own part of it.
And in it, yeah, so you have codependency, all these things, right? So what happens is, so ending on this, so that thing, so here's what I loved about that video. You got to send it to me
I will.
privately. People who aren't on Facebook, I'll
I
send it,
will.
right?
I will.
But here's what I loved about that. It reminded me in a very different way into the movie, Into the Wild, that I tell people to watch.
I did watch it before. When I was going to watch it, sorry to cut you off, but I did. I watched it a long time ago. Great movie.
Watch it again.
Okay, I might.
Yeah, it's free
Okay.
somewhere. Right?
Yeah.
But-
Oh, yeah. No, it was. Yep.
But that movie is about a guy not wanting me to stuff you into the school and just be this whatever, who had to go on his life journey.
Yeah.
And the people, the video you showed, which was so incredible, it talked about, and however they think about how the director and writer producer started. They started with the thought like, hey, why don't we just show this power of connection?
Yeah.
Like it's like trying to pull a thread out of a tapestry or a rug. Like it's like, okay, man, well, where does it go, right? So it was brilliant, but it shows you, because you notice that both were like touched.
Oh, gobsmacked.
Oh.
Absolutely.
We need some hashtag gobsmacking. We need to be gobsmacked.
Oh,
If you need me and Michelle to gobsmack you, it's only $30 an hour. No, I'm joking. If you live in your little Matrix bubble, the little suited Mr. Jones and whoever's watched the Matrix, if you live there and you don't want to take the red pill because we're comfortable in this and
Yeah.
you're not being real, I'm going to tell you the truth. At some point in your life, it'll crash.
that's right.
It's just the way it is. And last little story I'll share about with me and being transparent again, right? My biological dad, I wasn't really raised by him, and me and Michelle share that we have siblings that have different dads with it, right? But forgetting what type of man that my biological father was, he was my biological father. He didn't raise me. The first few years of my life were very difficult. It was just a very difficult home thing, right? And so he passed away last year.
Yeah.
And my mom, now she's dealing from, this is the guy that I was married to that fathered some of my kids,
Right.
is very, very different. Her and I've talked about it a little bit. She doesn't understand. She's older than me. She's in her 80s. We're going to be 80. But I didn't need to feel complete. I didn't need to make this restitutional
Right.
connection.
Right.
And I had no harboring bad will. I'm sorry he was an angry man and a violent man. I'm sorry for that. But I didn't need him to make me feel whole. I had done the journey myself and still on the journey of working through getting healthier, right?
Hmm.
And that's what I love about me and Michelle connecting and doing this. This kind of, I don't know, I think I got hold of you, there was this thought, then you built on it, and I knew we both knew our experiences, right?
Yeah.
He didn't plan this out for 10 years.
No.
You know, hey, by the way, we're gonna do this. We realized saying, you know what, we need to do this. First of all, for us, our relationship.
Yeah.
We know we needed to give of ourselves, because we could be doing something different, by the way. Michelle this is her crazy day. But we feel it's important enough to connect with you guys.
Exactly.
And we benefit, but I don't want Michelle, don't want you guys just to watch and be stuck. And you don't have to tell us your journey. We don't need the accolades. We don't care, right? Like, well, we care about you, but like, we don't need that. Like buying somebody a coffee at Timmy's, don't wait for them to wave. Boy, thank you.
Oh, for sure.
But
that's right.
we know the power of making a difference in somebody's life, and we know that we both benefit.
That's
So
right.
my last thought, and then you can have the last thought, and I won't say anything.
Okay.
Create space, build trust. First of all, if you want to have some change in your life, I would encourage you to write it down. If you do a bit of goal setting, don't set lofty goals. If you like, I want to hit 80 pounds and I went for 40 first.
That's right.
I first went for 10.
Perfect.
Right.
Excellent.
So in our journey here, I know most of you enjoy our talks. You like us, the questions. I believe the stuff we're talking about are helpful.
Yeah.
Don't just get information and 10 years from now, not just with us in life, and 10 years from now you go, crap, I'm in that same spot.
Exactly.
That's not what we want.
That's right.
So that's my end. You want to sing us a song or something?
No, but I'll say hashtag, if nothing changes, nothing changes. It's really that basic, right? If you're great where you are, keep on going. I think that's awesome. But if there's even one little thing that you think would improve your life's journey, figure out how to get there one step at a time, one step at a time, one day at a time, and one Wednesday at a time. 8 o'clock Eastern time, 5 o'clock Central. Are you Central time? Mountain time?
a mountain time. And I'll throw in, I know I should shut up, but I throw in, here's the thing that sometimes gets us stuck. And we talked about this months ago, forgiveness.
Yes.
And we sometimes think, especially if you've been in difficult relationships, and it could be a bully at work or school, or dysfunctional home life, you're not forgiving for their benefit. Forgiveness doesn't mean go take crap.
That's right.
Forgiveness means you need to release yourself from the burden of wearing that. Very, very important. And you need to do that for yourself. So that's a beginning spot. So back to me and Michelle and our challenges of being healthier, Michelle working with WW. Just because you had a bad day or a bad week, you don't beat yourself up.
Exactly.
You don't have to forgive yourself in a way, but you have to, in a way, go, I'm not gonna stop, right? I'm not going to stop. One of my favorite videos from a couple of years ago, wasn't the Olympics on now, but it was a video of a man who was running some race around the track that I don't like to do. And the guy who was in the lead tripped and fell, and I think he broke his ankle or something like that.
Ooh.
This is a race. This guy that was second was a Nigerian man.
I just shared that on Facebook yesterday.
Did you?
I did. That is so funny.
He
Weird.
He did connection. Ooh, we must be. I don't know. It's weird. I got goosebumps now. Did you share that? I gotta look at it.
Literally did. Yeah, and then the other guy pushed him forward so he would win.
He cared more about his that situation than winning. Same as with the guy who carries his father.
Yes, exactly.
Anyways, so the thing is, don't deal with your crap by yourself. Find connections, community. Find stuff to make you laugh, because there's not enough stuff to make you cry. Bad cry, by the way.
That's right.
But yeah, we love you guys. Next week we'll figure out what we're going to talk about, and questions or anything we can help with, message us, and we'll take care of you.
Reach out, share. We are here, and don't forget, anything's possible. You are just as capable as anybody else. Mindset matters. So you got this. I feel good. Do you feel good? Like we got it.
Awesome. Right. Good job, everybody.
Let's start our week strong, and we'll regroup next week. Thanks for coming.
Bye, everybody.
Thanks for putting up with Tom.
It's free.